chosen one. You got them scared to come to you with the mess they created, and that fear is driving a confession. They promised silence about what unfolded behind your back, but that promise is suffocating them daily. Now consequences funnel toward honesty. When they arrive, you won't argue or accuse. You'll listen, set boundaries, and close the chapter cleanly. That composure is what scares them most now. Someone in your world has been running their mouth about you for a long time now. This person sat at your table, smiled in your face, and told you repeatedly that your back was covered. Meanwhile, every conversation you had with this individual got twisted and delivered to your enemies like currency. This wasn't casual gossip or innocent misunderstanding. This was active participation in a calculated campaign that was specifically designed to make you look bad to others who mattered. This person made a deliberate choice when the critical moment arrived. The decision was crystal clear at the time. They could stand with you or align with the manipulator. They could choose loyalty or choose perceived advantage. They could be real or be fake. And the choice this person made was wrong, completely and utterly wrong. The alignment with your enemy seemed safer, more profitable, and more socially advantageous in that moment. Being part of the group that talked about you behind closed doors felt powerful and important to them. Having insider information created an intoxicating illusion of status and belonging. And for an entire season, that choice probably felt completely justified in their mind. The person who was receiving all that loyalty never actually cared about giving any loyalty back. Your betrayer was nothing more than a tool to be used, a messenger to be exploited, a pawn on someone else's chessboard to be moved at will, and pawns always get sacrificed when the game gets serious enough. That's the brutal truth that's starting to sink into their consciousness now. The person your betrayer protected so carefully never intended to protect them in return. The relationship was always transactional in nature, never transformational. The connection was always about use and exploitation, never about genuine love or care. Now you need to watch what's unfolding in real time. That whole crew that came after you is imploding from the inside out. The lies have become far too complicated to maintain with any consistency. People are asking questions that don't have clean or easy answers. The timeline isn't adding up anymore when you examine it closely. Contradictions are being noticed by people who were previously blind to them, and your betrayer now sits squarely in the middle of this mounting chaos while realizing something absolutely devastating. A real and genuine connection with you got destroyed completely for fake acceptance from people who are now actively turning on each other. That regret is becoming unbearable for them to carry. But you know what? That's exactly the consequence that fits the crime they committed. Behind everything that happened to you stands a master puppet pulling strings with surgical precision. This orchestrator knew exactly which psychological buttons to push to turn people against you systematically. This manipulator is genuinely sick in ways that don't show on the surface to casual observers. We're talking about someone who derives genuine pleasure from controlling others and watching chaos unfold around them like entertainment. Their public presentation appears righteous, maybe even spiritual or enlightened to those who don't look closely. But behind that carefully constructed mask lives pure corruption and darkness. And you became a primary target because your authentic light exposes their manufactured darkness just by you existing in your truth. This person studied you very carefully before making any moves against you. Your patterns were analyzed in detail. Your core values were identified and catalogued. Your important relationships were mapped out strategically. Then a comprehensive strategic plan was designed specifically to isolate you from support and break you down piece by piece over time. Lies were crafted that sounded just believable enough to stick in people's minds. Your past struggles were deliberately exaggerated and presented as current failures to discredit you. Your healthy boundaries were intentionally reframed as difficult behavior to alienate others. Your actual healing and growth were painted as fake positivity to dismiss your progress. You were systematically positioned as the problem when you were actually offering solutions the entire time. You never broke under the mounting pressure they applied. You certainly bent under the weight at times. You felt the attacks deeply in your soul. You dealt with genuine pain from the betrayal you experienced. But you never stopped being who you fundamentally are at your core. You never compromised your core integrity just to fit in with people who were operating beneath your standards anyway. You never lowered yourself to their toxic frequency, no matter how much pressure was applied, and that unwavering consistency drove them absolutely insane with frustration, because nothing in their manipulative playbook actually worked on you the way it worked on others. Now their whole operation is collapsing in real time before everyone's eyes. People are finally waking up to the manipulation tactics that were being used. Your betrayer has received undeniable confirmation that this person is a pathological liar who can't be trusted. Everything is being questioned now by people who used to believe blindly. The power this manipulator once wielded so effectively is evaporating rapidly into thin air. Their carefully crafted reputation is about to take a devastating hit that won't be recoverable. And here's the most satisfying part for you. You didn't have to do a single thing except keep being your authentic self, while the universe handled your enemies with mathematical precision and perfect timing. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. You already knew this betrayal was happening on some level. Maybe you didn't know every single detail at the time, but your intuition was screaming warnings at you at maximum volume. You felt the energy shift dramatically when certain people entered your personal space. You noticed the fake smiles that never quite reached their eyes when they looked at you. You sensed the judgment hanging heavy in the air around you like thick smoke. You knew with certainty that discussions about you were happening behind firmly closed doors. Your spirit was actively alerting you to danger, even when your logical mind didn't have concrete evidence yet to prove it. Some of you even tried addressing the situation directly and honestly. You asked straightforward questions seeking truth. You deliberately created opportunities for people to be honest with you, and lies were served back to you without any hesitation or remorse. You were gaslit into questioning your own clear perception of reality. You were told repeatedly that you were being paranoid, too sensitive, or unnecessarily dramatic about nothing. The manipulation systematically attempted to make you doubt what your spirit knew with absolute certainty was true. But deep down in your core, you always knew the real truth. That knowing never left you completely, even when confusion tried hard to crowd it out and bury it. You stopped trying desperately to prove what you already knew was true in your spirit. You stopped seeking external validation from people who were never going to give it to you honestly. You stopped explaining yourself repeatedly to individuals who had already committed fully to believing lies about you. You simply stepped back deliberately and observed everything carefully. You let them keep talking and scheming. You allowed them to keep plotting and planning. And while all that chaotic noise continued around you, you quietly elevated yourself far beyond their limited reach. That's the fundamental difference between your path and theirs that matters most. Their energy was completely wasted on trying to bring you down to their level. Your energy was wisely invested in building yourself up to higher levels. Their focus stayed fixated on your life and your choices obsessively. Your focus stayed centered on your purpose and your personal growth consistently. Their effort went into trying to dim your light through gossip and manufactured lies. Your effort went into shining even brighter through authenticity and excellence in everything you do. And now the undeniable results are visible for everyone to see clearly. You're glowing with radiance that can't be denied or dismissed. Meanwhile, the opposition sits trapped in self-created darkness while wondering how you're still standing tall, still winning decisively, and still completely untouchable by their schemes. The attacks that were launched against you were anything but random or impulsive. Careful strategic planning went into every calculated move against you. Someone took the time to identify your greatest strengths and then worked overtime to reframe them as weaknesses in other people's eyes. Your natural confidence was twisted into arrogance in the narrative being spread. Your healthy boundaries were distorted into difficult behavior in the false story being told. Your earned success was questioned as suspicious luck or questionable ethics in the manufactured gossip circulating. Since celebration of your wins wasn't possible for them emotionally, complete destruction became their primary goal instead. A very specific outcome was desired from all this coordinated effort against you. You were supposed to end up completely defeated and emotionally depleted. Your ambition was supposed to die slowly under the crushing weight of constant attacks. Your dreams were supposed to shrink progressively until they disappeared completely from view. Isolation was supposed to break your spirit entirely. Doubt was supposed to cripple your decision-making ability permanently. You were supposed to become small, silent, stuck, and struggling indefinitely. Because as long as manufactured chaos consumed all your energy and attention, stepping into your destined greatness would remain impossible for you. That was the entire calculated point of the coordinated assault against you. Every single attack forged you stronger than before. Every lie pushed you closer to your authentic truth and real self. Every person who turned away from you revealed their true character clearly for you to see. Every door that seemed to close in your face led you directly to better opportunities that were waiting elsewhere. You didn't just barely survive their calculated strategy against you. You completely transformed it into powerful fuel for your journey forward. You turned their intended weapons into your useful tools. You converted their vicious attacks into your inspiring testimony of resilience and divine protection that now encourages others. Look at the scoreboard right now with completely honest eyes. You're thriving in ways that seem impossible to outside observers watching your journey. Peace radiates naturally from your presence when you enter rooms. Joy flows naturally through your daily life in obvious ways. Forward momentum keeps building consistently in your favor. Meanwhile, the opposition falls apart in perfectly synchronized chaos. Stress consumes their days completely. Drama defines their relationships constantly. Stagnation marks their progress indefinitely. You won this confrontation decisively and completely. Not because you fought back using their same toxic tactics. You won because you refused to play their game entirely. You stayed firmly on your divinely appointed path, while exhaustion claimed everyone who kept trying to knock you off it. Something catastrophic happened that your betrayer never saw approaching on the horizon. Undeniable proof arrived suddenly that shattered every comfortable illusion they were living under completely. Maybe screenshots surfaced publicly, showing the manipulator's true nature clearly. Maybe witnessing the same calculated cruelty being directed at someone else finally opened their previously blind eyes. Maybe promises that were made in private got broken very publicly for everyone to see. Whatever form the revelation took when it arrived, it hit them with the devastating force of a major earthquake. Everything they believed got exposed instantly as lies and deception. Every choice they made got revealed as catastrophically wrong and misguided. Now every conversation replays on an endless loop in their tortured mind. Every lie they helped spread about you burns painfully in their awakening conscience. Every single time they chose the manipulator over you now appears as the colossal mistake it always was. This new perspective shows them the whole situation with brutal clarity. Being played and used becomes painfully obvious to them now. Being exploited becomes completely undeniable. Hurting someone genuine like you for someone fake becomes absolutely unforgivable in hindsight. And sacrificing something real and valuable for something completely manufactured and worthless becomes the primary source of their crushing regret. Distance will be created rapidly from everyone who came against you. Ties will be cut decisively and publicly. Silence will be broken loudly about things that were protected before. The same people who were defended will now be exposed completely. Why this sudden dramatic change in behavior? Pure self-preservation is kicking in hard now. The sinking ship is going down fast and taking everyone with it, and your betrayer desperately wants to get off before drowning becomes inevitable. But here's the harsh truth about their situation. The ship is already sinking beyond any hope of rescue. When you help build it and help sail it, you go down with it. That's exactly how betrayal works. When you deliberately choose the wrong side, you are transforming at the deepest possible levels of your being. Wounds you didn't even know existed within you were being healed completely. Boundaries that actually protect your peace were being established firmly and honored consistently. Your connection with your authentic purpose was being strengthened beyond anything you'd experienced before. You were becoming a version of yourself so completely aligned, so genuinely powerful, and so thoroughly untouchable that looking back at who you used to be almost seems like remembering a completely different person entirely. The season was undeniably dark and difficult beyond description. Denying that reality would be completely dishonest about your experience, you felt betrayal cut deep into your very soul. Tears fell freely over people who never deserved the love you gave them. Questions about your fundamental worth invaded your quiet moments relentlessly. Trust became something that felt broken beyond any hope of repair. The pain from being deliberately misunderstood and systematically misrepresented weighed incredibly heavy on you. Burdens that rightfully belonged to others somehow ended up on your shoulders. Attacks you never provoked still had to be endured and survived somehow. The testing was absolutely real, thoroughly comprehensive, and relentlessly persistent. But you didn't stay trapped in that darkness permanently like others might have. The pain became a powerful catalyst for profound change instead of becoming a prison of bitterness. Your patterns were examined honestly and healed completely through dedicated work. Your boundaries were set firmly and maintained consistently without apology. People who couldn't genuinely celebrate your growth were released with love and grace. Forgiveness for trusting the wrong people was extended generously to yourself. Your reconnection with your purpose happened at the deepest soul level. Remembering your true identity became absolutely non-negotiable for you. You stepped into a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, more aligned, and genuinely unstoppable in your purpose. The desire to reach out to you definitely exists in them. That much is absolutely true and undeniable. Messages have been typed out and deleted countless times in desperation. Emails have been started carefully but never sent. Phone calls have been rehearsed mentally but never dialed. Driving past places you might be has happened repeatedly, hoping for accidental encounters. Asking mutual connections about you serves as fishing for information about your receptiveness. But every single time actual action approaches the moment of truth, paralyzing fear takes over completely, because the real request becomes obvious when you strip away the pretense. You're being asked to make someone feel better about the fact that they destroyed you. Even in their somewhat delusional state, that audacity is hard to completely miss. Fear of your specific questions creates intense anxiety in them. How long was my name in your mouth behind my back? Who else participated actively that I still don't know about? What exactly was said in those secret conversations? How does someone smile in my face while actively stabbing me in the back simultaneously? Did any care ever actually exist between us? Was everything always fake from the very start? These questions haunt them relentlessly because they've been avoiding honest answers internally. Facing you directly means facing their own reflection honestly. It means seeing themselves through your clear eyes. It means acknowledging the betrayal's full depth without any excuses, justifications, or convenient blame shifting. That level of raw accountability has been actively avoided since everything started. The reaction being feared most isn't actually your anger or rage. Anger would indicate that emotional investment still exists between you. What creates genuine terror in them is the distinct possibility of your complete calm, your settled peace, your total and absolute indifference to them. Being looked at with the same energy you'd give to random strangers on the street. No emotion whatsoever, no investment remaining, just polite distance, or maybe nothing at all, because that response would confirm their most painful realization. Complete irrelevance has been achieved in your world regarding them. That chapter is closed permanently and firmly. The book has moved forward to new sections that don't include certain characters anymore. And that truth cuts deeper than any harsh words you could possibly speak to them. What if you've already shared the truth with your circle of people? What if your people know the real story of what happened? Approaching you means potentially facing an entire community that's aware of what was done to you. Their carefully constructed images could shatter instantly and publicly. Their reputations could face permanent destruction. People whose opinions matter deeply to them might change how they see the betrayer forever. The social consequences of confession weigh incredibly heavy on their shoulders. Forgiveness is desired desperately, but exposure is feared intensely. Relief from guilt is wanted badly, but embarrassment is absolutely terrifying. Healing is needed urgently, but humiliation feels completely unbearable. They want the benefits of confession without any of the associated costs, and slow realization arrives that this equation simply doesn't work that way. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. The beauty is, you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today, join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks, and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. If courage finally gets worked up enough to approach you directly, understanding what you're about to witness becomes critically important. This performance has been crafted meticulously over extensive time. Wardrobe choices have been carefully considered to appear humble without looking pathetic or desperate. Their tone has been practiced repeatedly to sound sincere without seeming obviously manipulative. Their words have been prepared meticulously to express remorse without revealing the full depth of betrayal. This is calculated presentation specifically designed to generate your desired response. Don't make the mistake of confusing this for spontaneous authenticity. The opening will emphasize heavily how they were manipulated by someone else more powerful, how convincing and charismatic the puppet master was to everyone, how getting caught up in something bigger happened before full understanding could develop. Positioning themselves as a victim will happen very carefully, not to completely dismiss their wrong actions, but definitely to soften them significantly. You're supposed to see them as a fellow survivor of manipulation, rather than an active perpetrator of betrayal. That's the precise angle being worked systematically. Watch very carefully for strategic minimization throughout the conversation. Certain aspects will be downplayed deliberately and consistently. Some truth will be admitted, but definitely not all of it. Passive participation might be confessed while active involvement gets strongly denied. Maybe claims of defending you behind closed doors will be made. Just enough truth gets offered to seem honest, while the worst parts get carefully withheld. Heavy banking happens on you not knowing the full extent of everything. Genuine hope exists that partial truth gets accepted without any deeper digging on your part. Tears might make a convenient appearance at some strategic point. Whether real or manufactured, purpose will be served either way. Tears create discomfort in confrontational situations naturally. Immediate pressure to comfort and forgive gets generated automatically. The entire dynamic shifts from you being the wounded party to them being invisible pain right now. Don't fall for this classic manipulation tactic. Exactly 0 tears fell while you were being actively hurt and destroyed systematically. Their current tears are entirely about personal discomfort with consequences, not genuine remorse for deliberate actions taken. Real remorse changes behavior before confession becomes necessary. These tears are just part of the carefully rehearsed show. You're not even remotely the same person anymore at any level. The transformation during your healing was total and absolute in every way. You didn't just heal from betrayal and move forward normally. You evolved entirely beyond the frequency where this type of violation can reach you anymore. Your discernment was upgraded to expert level through painful lessons. Your boundaries were strengthened until they became unbreakable through consistent practice. Your standards were clarified until they became non-negotiable through hard-earned wisdom. You became someone who doesn't just survive calculated attacks but becomes genuinely immune through elevated consciousness and spiritual maturity. You learned the language of energy fluently now through experience. Feeling people's real intentions happens before words even get spoken aloud. Inconsistencies between verbal and energetic communication get picked up instantly. Noticing when someone's words don't match their actual energy signature happens immediately. Seeing completely through performances and presentations has become natural for you. An internal truth detector was developed that's remarkably accurate and absolutely unforgiving of deception. The assumption is that rehearsed speeches won't be seen through by you. But you will see through everything clearly, because you're operating at a conscious awareness level that hasn't been reached yet by those still playing in darkness. Your entire definition of loyalty was fundamentally recalibrated through lived experience. The old belief was that loyalty meant staying through absolutely anything. The new understanding is that loyalty actually means consistency in character and integrity over time. The old thought was that forgiveness automatically meant restoring relationships exactly as before. The new knowledge is that forgiveness primarily releases your own pain without necessarily granting renewed access. The old assumption was that everyone starting the journey should finish it alongside you. The new wisdom recognizes clearly that some people are only meant for certain seasons. This earned wisdom makes you essentially untouchable to manipulation tactics that used to work effectively on previous versions of yourself. An entirely new life has been built that exists completely outside their awareness or influence. Meaningful connections with people who value you properly and consistently now fill your days. Exciting opportunities that came specifically because availability and openness existed now fill your calendar. Genuine peace and authentic joy that absolutely required certain absences now fill your heart. New versions of success and fulfillment that needed complete freedom from dead weight now fill your reality. The assumption being made is that you're standing in the same emotional place where you were left, but miles of growth separate then from now, and that massive gap will become painfully obvious the moment relating like old times gets attempted. Understanding your current position of power is crucial for how you move forward. You hold every single card in this situation completely. All power and leverage belongs to you now. Something is desperately needed from you by them. You need absolutely nothing in return from them. The approach comes from a place of brokenness and desperation for relief. You stand firmly in complete wholeness and unshakable peace. Active seeking of relief from overwhelming guilt is happening on their end. You're already totally free on your end. This is not a balanced dynamic between equals meeting on level ground. This is someone who caused severe harm, hoping desperately that you'll make heavy consequences easier to bear. Your response gets to be whatever serves you and your healing best, period. Hearing everything out completely and then calmly stating you've already moved on is completely valid. Refusing to meet at all if that feels right to you is completely valid. Listening to entire confessions and offering forgiveness without any reconciliation is completely valid. Acknowledging you heard an apology without actually accepting it is completely valid. Being genuinely compassionate about current suffering without taking any responsibility for fixing it is completely valid. Giving requested closure or refusing to give anything at all is completely valid. Every single option is completely valid because this is your story and your healing journey, not anyone else's to dictate. Don't let anyone pressure you into responses you're not genuinely ready for emotionally. People will preach endlessly about being the bigger person and just forgiving. Everyone deserves a second chance will be repeated like a mantra. Endless sermons about forgiveness and moving on will be delivered, but those people giving advice didn't experience your specific betrayal personally. Your particular pain wasn't felt by them directly. Your personal healing process wasn't walked by them step by step. Dictating how you protect yourself moving forward isn't their right. Only you know what you can actually handle emotionally. Only you know what you're truly willing to risk again. Only you know what your hard-earned peace is worth to you. Trust that internal knowing absolutely and completely. If engagement does happen, you set all terms clearly and firmly. You choose exactly when and where this meeting occurs. You control conversation length completely. You decide what topics are actually available for discussion. You determine what information about your current life gets shared. But you establish firm boundaries about any future contact beyond this. Don't let anyone else drive this interaction in any way. The right to set terms was completely lost when betrayal was chosen over loyalty. A massive favor is being done by you, even considering a request for conversation. Never forget that power dynamic for even a single second. Looking back now with clear perspective, you can see undeniable evidence of protection that was active even when you couldn't feel it at the time. Doors that closed weren't rejection of you, they were redirection toward better. People who left weren't loss for you, they were removal of obstacles blocking your path. Opportunities that fell through weren't failure on your part, they were divine intervention saving you from paths that would have limited you. Every single thing that seemed to go wrong was actually going right in ways you couldn't see clearly from inside the storm. The attacks launched against you had to pass through spiritual filters before reaching you. What arrived was already reduced significantly in power and impact. What could have destroyed you completely only wounded you temporarily. What could have ended you permanently only delayed you briefly. The protection operating on your behalf was actively blocking blows you didn't even know were being thrown at you. And the evidence of that protection is the simple fact that you're still standing tall, still mentally sound, and still moving forward powerfully despite everything that came against you. Your enemies never stood a real chance of succeeding in destroying you permanently, not because their tactics weren't sophisticated or their efforts weren't consistent, but because you carry a protection that operates beyond the natural realm entirely. You're covered by something they can't see with natural eyes, can't access through manipulation, and definitely can't fight against with human effort. Every weapon formed against you has failed completely. Not some weapons, not most weapons, every single one without exception. And that pattern will continue indefinitely, because your protection isn't based on your perfection, it's based firmly on your divine purpose. The same force that brought you through the betrayal safely is the same force guiding you forward now confidently. The same power that healed your deepest wounds is the same power opening new doors for you strategically. The same love that caught you when you fell is the same love lifting you higher than you've ever been before. You don't walk this path alone ever. You never have walked it alone. Divine backing has been present since before the attacks even started, and that backing guarantees your victory, regardless of who stands against you or what schemes get plotted in darkness. Someone is preparing to show up with a confession. Terror exists in them because you already figured everything out. Understanding exists that you've been untouchable this whole time, and now the complete picture shows exactly why that is true. Protection was always present around you. Elevation was always happening for you. Transformation was always in process within you. While your downfall was being plotted by enemies, the universe was plotting your rise with infinitely more power and precision. Everything that happened was part of a bigger plan for your life that you couldn't see then. The betrayal removed people who would have blocked where you're going next. The attacks revealed who was really for you with crystal clarity. The pain pushed you into transformation you wouldn't have chosen but desperately needed. You're not the same person anymore at all. You're better in every way. You're stronger than before. You're wiser through experience. You're more aligned with your purpose than you've ever been. And that's not despite what happened to you. That's partially because of it. The intended curse became your unexpected blessing through divine alchemy. Your betrayer is about to learn the hardest lesson of their entire life. Watching you step into opportunities that could have been celebrated together will happen. Seeing doors open that could have been walked through together will happen. Witnessing blessings manifest that could have been shared will happen. Instead, being on the outside looking in will be their reality. Drowning in regret while watching you win without them will be their daily experience. That's the direct consequence of betraying someone who is chosen and protected by forces beyond human understanding. So when the approach happens with shaking hands and tearful confessions, remember who you are now. Remember where you stand currently. Remember what you survived and overcame. You don't owe comfort in their discomfort. You don't owe quick forgiveness for slow betrayal. You don't owe access to your new life just because readiness to apologize for destroying your old one finally arrived. What you owe yourself is continued fierce protection of your peace, continued unwavering honoring of your boundaries, continued absolute commitment to your growth and your future. Handle this moment however serves that commitment best. The mess was created by their specific choices. Wrong sides were chosen repeatedly. Alignment with darkness happened, and consumption followed naturally. Now fear exists about facing you with what happened, but chosen one, you already won decisively. You survived everything. You thrived despite everything. You transformed completely. You're walking in dimensions of purpose and power that remain incomprehensible to those still operating in lower frequencies. Their confession can't change your victory. Their apology can't reverse your growth. Their regret can't diminish what you've become. You got them scared, chosen one. Not because intimidation is your goal or desire, but because clear sight finally arrived for them about who you really are. You were never the one to play with. You were always going to survive this. You were always going to rise from this. You were always protected by something they couldn't see or fight against. And there's absolutely nothing anyone can do to change that reality now. Your victory was written before their betrayal was even conceived. Walk in that truth with your head high and your peace completely intact. You've already won. Now live like you know it.